My name is Daniel, and this is your first HTML tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you the fundamentals behind HTML. Now, first of all, what is HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and it is the basic, most common coding environment on the internet. So, what is HTML? Well, HTML is all around us. If you're watching this video on YouTube, you can see that the whole web page is made up of HTML. But you can't actually see that. So I'm going to teach you what it looks like and how you can actually code your own websites. And also, further on in this tutorial, I'm also going to be showing you what CSS and JS are. So HTML manages the content on the website by actually adding objects which will then manage your content and will store it and tell your browser how it should be viewed. Now CSS gives style to your HTML document, so it gets added to your HTML, and then it will tell the browser where each item should be and what it should look like. And finally, JavaScript or JS is an event handler which allows us to create transitions, animations, and all sorts of unique events and interactions using a manipulation in the CSS or the HTML elements. So let's get on to the coding. So first of all, before you start anything, you should get yourself a text editor. And for this, right now I'm going to be using Atom. Now, Atom is a really good text editor program because it actually allows you to use a lot of shortcuts, which make it a lot easier and a lot more fun to edit HTML documents as well as CSS and JavaScript. So, of course, you can download it from here and it installs in a couple of seconds. And I already have it installed, so I'm going to jump right into it. So before you start anything with Atom, you can actually go ahead and create a new folder here. And for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to call it a tut. And here's where you need a root folder. Now, you may know this from other applications, but a root folder is basically what contains all the elements to our web page. So inside a root folder, to view these with Atom, you can just go ahead and click this and open it with Atom, and that will load the whole library inside your Atom library. But if you remove this, what you can also do is add project folder and then go into your tut, then root, select folder, and it also adds it. So as you can see, there's a couple of different methods to work with, and for now we're going to just go ahead and create a new file, and the name is going to be index.html. Now HTML is just the file type, and like I said, this is what we're going to be coding. You can also have HTML, but browsers usually prefer HTML, so that's why we're using that today. Index. Now this is really important to call it index because you have to get into the habit of naming your first and basic page index, because this will be your home page. And now what an index page does is, in your root directory, when people navigate to your website, they actually navigate to your server. And in your root directory, your document called htaccess will actually navigate people onto the index.html file, or if there's no index.html, we'll select home.html. If there's no home.html, we'll select home.php, etc, etc, etc. So anyways, this is really important to code index.html because this will be your front page, and press enter to create it. Now, when you code with HTML, you have to take into account a couple of things. Now, HTML is a really easy coding environment, and it uses square brackets, and inside those square brackets you have what are called tags. So for example, here we have an HTML tag. Now this is an HTML tag, and it declares the document or the content inside is in fact HTML. Now, another thing you have to add after the HTML tag is, of course, a closing tag. So between these two tags, all this here is inside our HTML tag, but this of course won't show because it has no formatting, and this is actually invalid and incomplete. So we'll learn how we can actually create our HTML. So type in HTML just like that into your Atom, and if you're using a different text editor program, this might not work for you. In fact, I believe Atom is one of the only ones that actually uses this method, and just simply press enter. And what this will do in Atom is it will actually bring up the whole structure of an HTML document. Now this might seem like a little bit confusing to you at first, but this is actually the very basic parts of an HTML document. Now first in the top you see the declaration. It declares the document type to HTML. This is for the browsers to feel happy about themselves, and as you can see, we have the HTML tag up here and it ends down here. Now the two other parts to the HTML document are the head and the body. Now, as you might have guessed, the head contains all the intelligence behind the website, but it doesn't actually show, and the body contains all the visual parts that the person will actually see on the screen. Now, inside the body, in here, it adds the character set. This is something you don't have to worry about because honestly, it's just you rarely ever have to change the character set, and the title is what will display on top of your screen if you open that website in your browser. So in here, I'm just going to type in my first HTML, and oops, I accidentally. Okay, so my first HTML, and now you can go inside File and save if you want to save it, or just press Ctrl S and that will do the same exact thing. Now, if we want to go ahead and view that document, we can go inside here in our root folder and we see here's our index document. Now we double click that and here we go. See, it has my first HTML on it, but we might have noticed that this is an empty page. So let's add some content to it. So we go back into Atom, and inside our body tag, we're actually going to create some content now. HTML bases all the textual content on similar tags like the ones you see on the screen, and the first one I'm going to teach you is a heading tag, and for this I'm going to use an H1 tag. This is the heading 1. You press enter similarly as you did before, and we're going to type in hello from the other side, and Adele song lyrics. Now this doesn't have to be that, but I was just feeling funny. So when you Control S or you save it and go inside your document, you refresh the page and you see in the middle of it, you see your content appearing. So there you go. Now you have yourself some content on your page. Now let's add some more. Okay, so with under our H1, we're going to add an H2. And I must have, oops. Okay, so Control S again, and when we refresh it, we'll see that it also brings up the second line. And unfortunately, I don't know the other lyrics to this song, but we're going to add an H3, and I don't, oops, misspell, don't know the rest of the lyrics. Control S, and then refresh again, and we'll see it appeared. And now the last heading tag will be an H4, but the show must go on. Okay, and when we save it, we'll review it, and we see it's all here. Now, the next thing that we're going to add today is going to be a paragraph. Now, a paragraph is quite similar to a heading, but paragraphs make up most of a web page, and they just contain simple text. So to include a paragraph tag, you can either type in this, and this will open a paragraph tag, and then you can place your paragraphs here, and then you do that to save, close it, or you can just press P again, press enter, and then you type all your text in here. Now when we press save, we'll see that it added 2 more new paragraphs to our web page. 1, 2. So these are all the same kind of format, and they don't really stand out, but their purpose is just to contain a bunch of text. And these are 2 different paragraphs. So if we wanted to include this kind of thing in the other one, we could just copy that out, paste that in here, and we delete this, we save it, and now we'll see that it added this to the previous paragraph. So that's all good. So now the last textual element that we're going to learn about today is an A tag. Now an A tag gives us a link, and inside an A tag we have an href, which refers to the link's address. So basically this includes the website, or the part on the website that we navigate to once we click on this link. So click on this link, type that in, and for now we are going to add HTTP we're going to add this link right here and press save. So when we refresh it, we can click on this link and it will load W3C's website. This is the World Web Organization, and it has a lot of interesting things about it, like an HTML5 course in edX, etc, etc, and these will teach you more than I can teach you right now, but they also, I think they cost money, but whatever. So anyways, as you can see, our link works perfectly, so you can navigate from and to things. And I'm going to teach you one more extra thing today, and that's going to be one of these things right here, and I really want to find it. I don't want to type it. So we put a target, and as you can see in here, it lets us select all these properties. And basically in websites, nowadays you only use blank and parent, or well, whatever, or blank in top, or whatever you want to use. But right now we're going to use blank and save it, and this will, when we refresh it, this will give us this link in a new page. Okay, so the last thing that we're actually going to go over is images. And now I'm going to go on Google Images, type in awesome, go look at this image, copy the address, and then we are going to go in here, type in img, and we have us the image tag. Now this will display the image, and when src means source, and we paste our source file in there, and alt means that this gets displayed if you hover over. So Control S, and notice you don't actually have to separately close this one because it already closes on itself. And of course you can actually, this tag will also work, and I'm going to show you in a minute, but first we're going to review this. And as you can see, it added this in the same line as it did for a link, and I'm going to tell you the reason. But first I'm going to show you that you don't actually need that closing tag. You can just save it like this, and it will also display the image without a problem. But most browsers prefer if you have that on, so I would just leave it. It's just one character, it's not big of a deal. So anyways, the reason why this is here is because after a link there is no break. A link doesn't break the text, and that's because, well, it has an easy reason, and that's because why wouldn't it? I mean, when you type in a link that is part of a bigger text, if it were to break the text, that would look pretty stupid, right? So right now what I'm going to do is going to Adele hello and copy all that and go into Atom and paste that in here. And what I'm doing right now is I'm going to show you that in here when we save it, we're going to have inside this one, and it doesn't actually break the text, and when we click this it goes into AZ whatever. Okay, so this has been, I hope this has been helpful to you. Leave a comment if it has, and of course like it if you want to, and if you find that I've missed something or whatever. Keep in mind this is very basic, so I've just showed you the fundamental parts to an HTML document. But if you find that I could have added some more information, do feel free to check that out with me. And of course, I'm going to give you an interesting website for source, w3schools.com, which has awesome resources for your HTML building, your CSS building, and your JavaScript building. And of course, if you want to learn SQL for databases, PHP for interfaces, and jQuery for added JavaScript functions, feel free to check this one out. I've been Daniel, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye bye.